As we learned in the last episode of PhotoPills Friday, the top bar of the PhotoPills planner is scrollable, giving you access to different ways to plan your sun, moon, and night sky images. However, some of the icons and settings can be hard to figure out. So today we're going to jump into one of the key panels for planning your sun and moon images, so stay tuned. Hey there, photographers, Brenda Petrella here, and welcome to another episode of PhotoPills Friday, where we unlock the power of the PhotoPills app to help you improve your outdoor photography and to help you learn PhotoPills without all the confusion. In last week's episode, we went over the 4 main areas of the planner tool. Today, we're going to dive deeper into one of the panels found in the top bar of the planner. This panel is the Sun and Moon Position panel, and it's important to understand if you want to plan sun and moon images. So let's dive into the planner now and get started. As I mentioned in episode 2, the top bar contains 11 panels. Some of the icons in the panels activate and deactivate different map layers or overlays. To make sure that we're all on the same starting point, let's begin by deactivating any map layers you may have on right now. If you only see a red pin on your map and no other colored lines or circles or anything, then you're already set. To deactivate the map layers, you have to click on the map settings button in the bottom right corner of the map. Under Map Layers, click the eyeball next to each layer to turn that layer off, as indicated by a slash going through the eyeball. Then click Done in the upper right corner to return to the planner. Now you should only see a red pin and perhaps also a black pin on your map. We really only want the red pin for now, which is the observer's pin. So to get rid of the black pin, scroll to the second panel of the top bar, which is the pin-to-pin geodetic info panel. Remember, you can easily see which panel you're on by looking at the white dots under the top bar. Click on the icon that looks like a red pin next to a black pin, and it should switch to a darker color, and the black pin will disappear from the map. All you have to do to turn it back on is click that same icon, and the icon will look bright again, showing that the map layer is active. But let's keep this one inactive for now. Okay, now let's get to the Sun and Moon Position panel, which is the third panel of the top bar. So scroll the top bar until the third white dot below the top bar is illuminated. The Sun and Moon Position panel is used to activate the Sun and Moon map layers, and it also gives you information about the Sun and Moon's azimuth and elevation, which we'll learn about more in just a moment. On the left is the Sun and Moon icon for the map layers, and it looks like a circle that is half yellow and half blue. Right now, the map layers are off, and the icon is darker in color. If you click the icon, you will now activate the Sun and Moon map layers, and the icon will now be brighter in color. Also, yellow and blue lines will now radiate out from the red pin on the map, and we'll go over what these lines mean in just a second. If you click the icon one more time, you will see just the sun map layer, and now the icon looks like a solid yellow circle, and the map layer only shows a yellow and orange lines. If you click the icon again, it now turns into a solid blue circle, and this means that only the moon layer is activated. And you can see that on the map that only blue lines are visible. Now, if you click the icon one more time, you are back at the beginning with no map layers activated. So clicking the sun moon icon is one way to activate and deactivate the map layers. Of course, you can also do this from within the map settings as we just did when we turned them off. So let's look at a quick example with just the sun map layer. Click on the map settings button again, click on the eyeball next to sun, click Done to return to the planner, and now you can see that the sun layer is activated and the icon at the top is a solid yellow circle, and we're only seeing the orange and yellow lines on the map. Now, let's talk about what these lines mean. When the sun layer is activated, you will see a thick yellow line on the east side of the map and a thick orange line on the west side of the map. Now, a little side note, if you're unsure where north is on your map, you can pull up a little compass by simply holding down 2 fingers on the map and rotating the map around, and a little red compass will pop up in the upper right-hand corner, and you can orient your map now accordingly. If you tap the compass, it will reset north to the 12 o'clock position, and the compass will disappear. The thick yellow line shows the sun's direction at sunrise for the date and time selected in the timeline, and the thick orange line shows the sun's direction at sunset. These lines are based on the azimuth of the sun at sunrise or at sunset relative to the red pin. To know the sun's or moon's position in the sky, you need to know 2 measurements. a horizontal measurement, and a vertical measurement. The horizontal measurement is called the azimuth, and the vertical measurement is the elevation. So let's look at an illustration to better understand these measurements so that you can start to use them to plan your images. Here we have a picture of a horizontal slice through the earth with north, east, south, and west directions shown. The top arc is the path that the sun appears to travel throughout the day. The azimuth is the horizontal measurement that tells you what direction, so north, east, south, or west, that the sun will be at a given time and date. It's measured in degrees, clockwise from north. So north is 0 degrees, east is 90 degrees, south is 180 degrees, and west is 270 degrees. So knowing the azimuth, you will know what direction the sun will be in the sky. So for example, in this illustration, you could say that the sun is in the northeast. The elevation is the vertical measurement, and it indicates how high in the sky above your location's horizon the sun will be. So we know, for example, that at sunrise, the sun will obviously be low in the sky, whereas at noon, it'll be high in the sky. And the elevation tells you in degrees how high above the horizon the sun will be relative to the red pin. So knowing the azimuth and elevation tells you what part of the sky and how high in the sky the sun or moon will be at a given time, date, and location. This helps you figure out how light will be hitting your subject and where to place yourself in relation to your subject to get the image that you imagine. Okay, so if you scroll through the timeline below the map, you will see a thin yellow line appear just before the thick yellow line. If you start at the beginning of the day, it'll start to appear just before that thick yellow line and then travel all the way around to the thick orange line and then disappear. The thin line also changes from yellow to orange as you move forward in time. The thinner line shows you how the sun's position changes in the sky throughout the day, starting and ending with twilight, which is why the line appears before the thick line of sunrise and disappears after the thick line of sunset. You can see this mirrored in the path of the sun on the timeline below the map as well. So we've just been looking at the sun map layer, but the concepts are all the same for the moon map layer as well. So if we click the top panel icon one more time, we will activate the moon map layer only. The thick light blue line in the eastern sky is the direction or azimuth of the moonrise, and the thick dark blue line is the direction or azimuth of the moonset. And the thin blue line that travels around the map, according to the timeline, is the path of the moon over time. Now let's look back at the top panel. Here, the azimuth and elevation of the sun and moon are given for the time and date set on the timeline. And you can see it change as you advance through the timeline. On the right-hand side of the top panel is the phase and percentage of the moon for the time and date that is set. Now, if you've messed up the timeline and you're not at the time and date that you wish to be, you can double tap on the clock and it will reset to your current time and date. Or remember, you can also just tap on the clock and that will bring up the time and date settings, and you can also just manually set them there. If you find all these icons and colored lines and the concepts of azimuth and elevation difficult to remember, I put together a PhotoPills icon cheat sheet that summarizes these symbols, and you can download that from a link in the description below. So I hope that will help. Understanding the sun and moon position information that we learned from the top panel today will help us plan sun and moon images in future videos. So play around with it and get comfortable with navigating the various settings. Now, there are 3 other panels of the top bar of the planner that relate to planning the sun and moon images. So in next week's video, we will take a deeper dive into those panels. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.